This is Calcat, the Calicatster, on the set of Starship Legacy, Season 3. And yeah, I wanted to review Strange New Worlds before going and filming the last of the episode filming for the day on this episode. So I watched the Strange New Worlds episode through the lens of time, and I'm going to review it, and then go on to do the other show, and the pilot of the two-part other show. So having nothing to do with this. This episode is the 5th episode in the Strange New Worlds A Lens of Time Strange New Worlds saga. It's similar to some Next Generation episodes that have seen something like Iconians and other life forms, non-corporeal alien creatures out there, and horror story. It clearly was meant as a Halloween episode, and that it had this show aired instead of in late summer, it had aired in fall instead, fall of last year. It would have lined up with like their spooky episode. Yeah, so this one is when they have an away team goes down to a planet. We're introduced to this cameraman guy that likes Uhura. It's after Lon was with Spock once. Spock seems to get all the girls for some reason. Well, they did call him Hot Spock last season, or the lower decks people that visited called him. I don't know how hot he is compared to Leonard Nimoy, but but yes, that's what they call him. So we have a this is going to be a really brief review, just because it's not really. It's kind of derivative of other stuff. They've used this quarry set a couple of times before this season and last season. They used the panoramic thing as well on the backgrounds, the panoramic widescreen around the crew. You can kind of tell when they're in certain places. There was Corby. They go down to the planet. They send an away team down to the planet, and they're extra-dimensional beings that are within causality and without, and within the universe and without, like the Iconians. I don't think it's supposed to be the Iconians, but they're kind of implying it is. In which case, Next Generation discovered that mysteriously and didn't go there, so it doesn't work. But they don't specifically say Iconians. Like that holodeck episode previously, they only say it's a primitive holodeck, just so they can do some Next Generation stuff, and it's kind of the same thing here. Also, is it similar to the artifact from the other one? Well, these are the evil ones, I guess, the evil alien thing. They reference the fallen ones and the ancient aliens. They deliberately mention that. But we were stealing it from... We were borrowing the name from the Ancient Aliens reviews. The Colavito making fun of that. So we can't take credit for that, because Colavito was credit for that. Anyway, So yeah, we were just he makes fun of it. Yeah, the fallen ones, the giants, the Nephilim. I don't think they're supposed to be Nephilim, though. I think they're just space aliens. That they don't really show them directly. They go down there with an ambassador from an alien planet who's done up like some of the creatures I've seen before. It's kind of it looks like an Indian demigod kind of. A little bit. And he goes in and he gets killed. And then the ensign guy, he goes down there and gets his eyes blasted. And then they bring him back up to the ship because he's all messed up. They should have beamed everybody back up, but they didn't. And then they get separated by space-time continuum. Several groups get separated. There's like 3 of them. And they get, and there's like a part with the Spock gets touched, but the Doctor gets touched, and there's like they imply that the aliens are still around. Probably want to set up like a spooky sort of conspiracy thing that they probably won't resolve. But yeah, the alien inside, they're trying to heal the ensign guy's eyes, but the alien's in there and he's really brain dead. The alien, Pelia, the engineer lady, She's got by evil in the universe. Ooh, he's walking around with his eyes blasted out. Just is a gross effect in the story, so it is a little gory. But yeah, the mainly like black eye patches. They did the drying blood correctly. In terms of medical sciencey, nursey kind of stuff, yeah, it dries and gets black, turns black when it dries. So they did that right. They did the other stuff. Yeah, because my mother was a nurse. My late mother was a nurse. I don't know. Anyway, but if you've ever seen blood on a cut, it like dries and turns black. Yeah, the lens of time. They don't really do time travel in it. It's more like it's a metaphor for the evil aliens that are doing. They're not really there. They're like non-corporeal, like floating Chinese lanterns. This episode seems to be inspired by somebody from the Kid Group last season. It couldn't be, though. It couldn't be. But yes, evil Chinese. They're not supposed to be evil. They're supposed to be like Chinese lanterns are supposed to be like good things. They're like souls, and so they do carry that through the story. There's a device that looks like one blows up. It's supposed to be like souls representing that. Yeah. Or something like that. Yeah. They represent something. They're not really literally non-corporeal aliens. They're representing something. Yes. So yeah, that's the goofy part. And then they're trying to set up this whole like spooky interdimensional alien thing, similar to that episode with Data in 3 time continuums. And they have to come together to close the rift and go through there. First season. Next Generation. There's a lot of references to that in previous episodes as well. The space adventure one, the holodeck that I didn't mention, but everyone else did, so I don't need to. Yeah, they shouldn't have had a holodeck. Sure. And the 60s style ship. They oversold it, I think. Yeah. But in this one, they undersold it. They wanted to make it, and they have a scene that's odd in the movie where the lady who's having Gorn treatments, which is just weird to say, fights the guy that's been zombie-eyed, and they put him in the brig, and of course he kills the guard and escapes. Spoilers. But then they have to shoot him later. But then they implied that the creature's in the computer, even though Scotty catches the creature in the orb and beams him into the buffer. You wouldn't want him in the transporter buffer. That's a bad idea, Scotty. Yeah, he's going to mess around with the computers there. Yeah, it's an entity. Yeah. What are you thinking? No. If it messes up the ship, they're probably in trouble. Yeah. Reminiscent of that Red Jack episode, Wolf on the Fold. They put it in the computer and had it calculate pi. You think though that in it, that's how they beat him. But that was that old episode of Star Trek, Wolf on the Fold. But it's like they don't really know, how to. An entity that's thousands of like eons old or whatever is going to know what pi is. So that episode was silly, but it was done in the 60s. Yeah, it's going to know what pi is. So there's like, yeah. Anyway, was it okay? Was it fine? It was fine. Again, I noticed that Steve Shives is not reviewing this season at all. And his friend Jason must have fell ill or something. And they don't review them this season. Some of us are the only ones out there reviewing it this season. I don't know him, but his information about Star Trek has inspired some of the other legacy episodes. Yeah. So yeah, this episode is not connected in any way to our stuff. It doesn't appear to be in any way other than they're like bad guy ancient aliens. Yeah, sure. Camera guy's annoying. The Uhura relationship doesn't really work. The Lon and Spock thing kind of came and went, even though it's kind of still there. There was some interplay problems. There were some camera angles where they completely fudged some. They had a couple of scenes where a couple of close-ups, a couple of shots where they were like the guy was either too far to the right or the left again, but this time they flipped the image so that it would look so they could fix it, but in doing so they made it worse. They should have just left it that way and said, okay, we screwed up. Yeah, this is not artistic merit on artistic on this thing. They're screwing it up because they have whatever they're slightly more advanced, probably Sony cameras, I guess. Yeah, and they're using those, and they kind of have the same visuals as these older ones. Yeah, and kind of the audio is kind of from these older ones too. Yeah, if you had a corridor that large and you were filming it with one of these, you wouldn't be able to pick up the audio very well from a distance. So, yeah, these are Canons. Canon VIC. Still a very good model, 700 and 800. Still very good cameras. Still, even refurbished, are the price of the originals. Yeah, so yeah, people still use them. I use them for my fan films. I don't use them for anything spurious and weird. Well, I guess the fan films are weird, but so yeah, audio and visual lens cues. Quite a lot of. It looked rushed in places when they were on the ship, and I can see exactly what went wrong. You can tell that they're like, oh, we want to film this cinematically, and oops, faces are cut off. It's obvious in this story. People are blurry at the center. It's okay to have the person centered in the center and have him focused, but if there's a guy's face and he's halfway over here like that, and his face is blurry, that's not good. Or if he's on this side and he's blurry and the guy in the center isn't focused, that's not good either. A modern technique that they've. I don't think it's a technique though. I think it's a feature. Okay, it may not be a bug. It may be a feature, as Mark's cards would indicate. Yeah. Times the lighting was weird because they filmed it in a Max 3 looked washed out at times because they filmed it in a sound stage. Yeah, you can tell when they're in the sound stage and it's louder. Also, the music is considerably louder beginning and the end than the show. The show is like a soap opera, and they can't kill any of the main characters, so there's really very little tension with the main characters. You know. They're not going to seriously fatally wound anybody. Although they left that Spock part opened up, didn't they? There's a Spock part they left open to indicate that something scratched him or something. He kept zooming in on it. Had they just left that out, it probably would have made more sense. But I guess they wanted to set it up for the crew going crazy at some point. What is the puppet episode that's coming up? Is that when they turn into puppets for the alien? It's like somehow they're puppets. Because I don't. Why are they doing that? They don't need to literally do starship locations. They don't need to do that. Especially not without getting us credit. Somewhere in the credits it says story by me. Okay. Yeah. That's it.